Hello, everybody. I am your local friendly therapist, and today I wanted to bust 3 different myths that we have in the eating disorder community, or that a lot of people have about eating disorders specifically. So, myth number 1 is that eating disorders only happen to young, white, female people of higher social economic status. And nowadays that we've gathered more data and we've understood the different ways that eating disorders can manifest, because even culturally it can manifest in many different ways, we also understand that eating disorders impact every single demographic, and it does not discriminate against gender, race, socioeconomic status. Unfortunately, prior to insurance coverage actually helping out more so with eating disorder treatment, we were only seeing people of higher SES as part of the data because they were the only ones who could afford therapy. It wasn't that it wasn't impacting other people of different demographics. It was just that we were only seeing those numbers show up because of the barriers of insurance. Now, luckily, nowadays that's less so of a barrier, but we are still fighting to get insurance coverage for different things. And for those on Medicaid, they can still have barriers to access of care, especially if there's no eating disorder specific hospitals in their state like Kansas. So I definitely still see my clients struggle that they don't get all of the good quality inpatient care that other people might get if they are of a lower SES status. But again, it goes across race, it goes across gender. Binge eating disorder is actually 50-50, where 50% are female and 50% are male. Now, the second myth that I wanted to bust is that eating disorders are only serious, psychologically and medically serious, for people who look thin or emaciated. Well, the truth of the matter is 80% of very serious psychological and medical eating disorders are actually people of normative or above normative body weight. That's 80%. That is, hi Nora, my dog's here with me at work, but that's the majority, right? And so if we have this idea that an eating disorder looks a specific way or it only happens to thin people, we are missing most people who are struggling. So again, I really want to debunk that myth because I think people assume that it looks a certain way, and in fact, a lot of serious medical and psychological eating disorders are normative or above normative body weight. In fact, a lot of my clients come in and originally they're like, well, I don't know if I'm quote unquote sick enough if they don't fall into that category. And often they are very ill, they are very psychologically unwell. And one of the biggest things that an eating disorder can steal away from somebody is their brain. The fact that their world starts to revolve around food and they are no longer who they once were in the world and / who they are in the world. And so even if there aren't the medical complications, which we can still see with people who are overweight and atypical anorexia, it is still severe. It's still really important, and somebody can revolve their whole life around obsession over food and body weight, and that is not an okay thing either. We also see that suicide rates are higher in populations where people struggle with eating disorders, so it's something to definitely take seriously, and it's not about what a person looks like on the outside. The third myth that I wanted to bust is that eating disorders are strictly about body image or they're just surface level or vain. And what we really do understand about eating disorders are they are a very complex issue. And some eating disorders actually don't have any body image disturbance associated with them at all. Some cases of ARFID and some other different diagnoses, again, have nothing to do with body image. The other piece that's really important to note is that even if it is about body image, the reason that tends to be the case is because people who struggle with eating disorders tend to associate their self-worth with what their body looks like. So 80% of their self-worth and their self-esteem comes from what they perceive their body looks like. So I know that people can say it's shallow or vain or it's about, just trying to look good, but I think at the end of the day, the bigger truth is it's about their sense of self. It's about their self-worth. It's about their self-esteem. And I think all of us can understand why it's really important for us to have a good self-esteem. So regardless of if there are body image disturbances or not associated with the eating disorder, it's not about being vain or wanting to look good. It has deeper meaning. It has to do about how a person feels they're worthy in the world, and a lot of other complex factors that come together to create this really complex disorder. Now, I hope you guys learned a little bit today. Those are the big 3 myths that I hear time and time again. If you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will catch up with you next time.